Hello, welcome to the latest episode of, I guess, bear in mind, but this week we are returning to the format we did for the Blades films before the MCU, where we
Yeah,
look at superhero movies from before 2008, basically.
pretty much. Yeah, like stuff that
Anything that came out
I
before Iron Man did.
yeah, or I mean, we've potentially got a chance of something that may come out at a similar time as Iron Man at some point, but hasn't been influenced by what became the MCU. Let's say.
I still
Yeah,
think that's a
and
hard cut off.
I
Iron
think
Man
it's
in
a hard cut.
2008. So I think
I,
if we were to discuss the Nolan Batman films, we only discuss Beyond. Not
I
Beyond,
think if
Begins.
Well, I think obviously the Nolan Batman films we could discuss all of them.
Nope,
I
Begins
I
only.
think just because obviously they're their own thing, and he was never going to get influenced
Oh
by
no, they're not
the
influenced by
MCU.
the, but
And B, at least as far as a not necessarily a deliberate trilogy, but what was probably an inevitable trilogy, being how well Batman Begins did. Um, it started before the MCU. I think there's also an argument for anything that maybe was made like before, right, like in up until 2008. But what maybe wasn't released until 2000, late 2008,
yeah,
maybe even 2009. Like, because obviously the making process of a film is usually about two years. I think we might even sneak a 2009 film in if there is one that we find that like is relevant. After that, obviously, that's when you'll start to see more influences from Iron Man and things like that.
but
But yeah, what are we doing this
anyhow,
week, James?
we are discussing, and I was going to have props, but I overslept, so I don't have props.
Mm.
We're discussing Mystery Men. Technically,
Mm,
not a comic book adaptation, I don't believe,
don't think so.
but a film about
Uh,
superheroes nonetheless.
yes. Um, with, I mean, we've been talking about influences. There's certainly some influences in this film.
Oh, it is based on
From
Flaming Carrot comics.
is it?
So yeah, there we go.
Mm. Are you, us doing our research yet again, eh? Um,
So yeah, this is
um,
a film about a group of, well, not good superheroes and how they have to rise
yeah,
to the
but
occasion.
when you say not good, you mean not capable, not
Yes,
that they're bad people.
no, not
They
capable.
are, yeah, yeah. Um, and or they are capable, but not necessarily as super capable as we've become accustomed to. They are the misfits, the underpowered, the slightly underwhelming. They are the jokes that you'd see
Yeah,
in other
I
comic books.
I forgot how
They're
Ben
like,
Stiller's whole shtick at this point in his career was basically being someone who got angry really easily.
mm.
Like he played characters with short temperaments generally all the time, didn't he? At this kind of,
Well, I suppose it was that angry short man syndrome thing because he's quite a short actor, and he's also like
and we all know you're always
he.
angry.
Well, I mean, internally, yeah. Like I had some fury yesterday, some absolute fury. Like there was some very rude people when I was walking through town yesterday. But yeah, I felt very much like Ben Stiller's character yesterday. Um, but yeah, he. I think the thing that we often forget about Ben Stiller because he's a comedy actor is like how incredible shape he's in.
Yeah,
Um, like he is action movie ready and always has been. Um, So like he was sort of perfect cast for this. It's almost a shame, really, that he has to hide behind the leather jacket for the whole film.
It's a hell of a
Um,
cast.
it is a hell of a cast, yeah.
Yeah, like
I mean, it's a magnificent cast, and they all do a. I'm going to say it. They do a perfect job of doing the parts that they were hired to do.
yes.
Like, there is not an actor in this that's phoning it in.
No.
They're all obviously having a bit of a laugh, but also taking it seriously and
Oh yeah, it
trying
looks like
to,
it would have
like,
been an incredibly fun time to make.
yes, I mean, depending on what the director's like, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, it does look like they all had some fun and they all like really went to town on it.
Like it was. I've said, like I said to you, that I remember. I think I saw this in the cinema as a kid in 1999. Is
Yeah.
the year it came out, and I definitely didn't remember much of it. It was like watching the film afresh again.
Mm. Yeah, I found the same. Like, because I have watched it. Well, I've seen it,
Yeah.
not necessarily watched it. I know that's
No, I know what you mean.
a game of semantics, but when I worked in the video shop for the first company that had that shop, they had an entertainment license, which meant that we could put films on.
Yeah.
And this was, I believe, rated a 12, which meant that we could show it after 7 p.m. in the shop. So for a period of time, it was one of those go-to films in the shop to have on after 7 p.m. So I have experienced this film
Yeah.
multiple times. Probably, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the region of about 20 times. But it has been probably since that shop got took over by Blockbuster, which would have been 2005-ish,
Yeah.
2006 maybe, that I've seen it. So yeah, a good 15 years since I've seen this film. So a lot of it, yeah, was quite fresh to me. The wife has never seen it, so it was an interesting experience for her, and for me, watching it with her, because like she didn't know what to expect. I had briefed her on it, but I think she came out a little underwhelmed.
Yeah.
But yeah, how did you find it?
I had a blast. I mean, I gave it 4 stars on my Letterboxd.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone wants to see what I rate films, follow me on Letterboxd. I think it's TuffyW23. But yeah, just going through some of this cast: Hank Azaria, William H. Macy, Paul Rubens, Ben Stiller, Greg Kinnear, Jeffrey Rush, Kel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Kel, isn't it? Off of Keenan and Kel.
Yeah,
Keenan's obviously the one who's gone on to the larger
career,
success.
because he essentially just stayed with comedy.
Yeah, he became
sketch comedy. Well, he's the Saturday Night Live guy now, isn't he?
Yeah,
I think he's
probably considered one of the best at it.
I think he's wisely decided not to try and take on like too many projects outside of Saturday Night Live, which is fair enough. You know, his legacy's there. But yeah, it was one hell of a cast. Eddie Izzard.
Yeah, Eddie Izzard.
Yeah. Playing Disco.
Yeah, they're playing the Disco Bandit or something along those lines.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean Jeffrey Rush.
Yeah.
Because I mean this was like a year before X-Men, wasn't it? Wasn't it X-Men 2000 or something?
X-Men was
the original X-Men.
2000, yes.
Yeah. So this is a year before we saw Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, who are kind of, I suppose, to be honest, at a similar level of serious, respected actor to Geoffrey Rush. I
Yeah,
mean, I think at this point Geoffrey Rush had won an Oscar, or at least been nominated for one. Um, so like he going into a film like this really, really did like set a standard. Um, that obviously in some ways potentially was one of the triggers for superhero films becoming what they are now. Like they are a touch more respected. That they are.
yeah. You can see,
You,
you can kind of see some of the DNA to what superheroes become, but it's still got that the lavish fantasy world of some of the design of films of the 90s had. It has a city that's very much a superhero city. It's been built
I
from.
mean, this looked like for the bits that they actually had the budget to show off a wider city.
Yeah,
This looked very much like the Schumacher Batman films
yeah.
aesthetically,
And I
which
love
was
the elevated diner that we spend a lot of time in.
yes, yes. I mean, it was quite a smartly made film for like using its budget and getting the what do you call it? Getting the best out of its money. Like obviously using some real world sets, even like a back garden. Like a back garden is one of the main focuses of the film. It's where they audition
Yes.
the potential new members of their team.
And I think Captain Amazing is a great send up of both Batman and a little bit of Superman.
Correct. Yeah, and essentially, really, the.
I like that he's kind of a villain.
I mean, he is the villain.
One of them, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's not necessarily the villain. Obviously, that's Casanova Frankenstein.
I did
but
find his demise a little unsatisfying.
what Casanova Frankenstein?
No, Captain Amazing.
But then potentially that was the point,
Yeah,
because like if he went out in a more amazing,
traditional
flamboyant,
villain way.
yeah, then like maybe the point of the character would have been lost.
Yeah,
That if he'd gone out in a slightly more heroic bang, then you'd have left the film thinking, oh well, actually maybe he wasn't that bad. But because it was a slightly underwhelming death, and of course it just reinforces the fact that our protagonists are not yet ready to be superheroes in a way, because they managed to fluff it and kill the most powerful superhero in the city at the time.
apparently this is his only film he ever directed.
Really,
Yes,
what else did they do?
a 2 Nissan adverts and 2 Volvo adverts, according to IMDb.
Oh,
And apparently, during the production, according to Hank Azaria, this was a quote from a director, and this is just in the "Did you know" trivia section of IMDb. I'm going back to commercials when this is done. I've had enough. I'd much rather do my cool little 1 minute shorts that I make than deal with all this nonsense.
huh. Yeah, back to Geoffrey Rush. He was right in the middle of pretty much his, at least critically, most successful period. So in 1997, he had won the Oscar for Shine.
Yeah.
For Best Actor in a Leading Role. He got nominated in '99 for Shakespeare in Love for Best Supporting Actor. He got nominated again in 2001 for Actor in a Leading Role. So, like, for Quills,
Yeah.
which is a magnificent film if you've not seen it.
I've not. No.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. It's about the Marquis de Sade spending time in prison. But yeah, brilliant film. Um, so yeah, I mean, this was very much a like top tier actor at his finest,
Yeah,
doing what would have been a relatively low budget film, like superhero film, because like obviously at the time superhero films were like sort of big, but also sort of not
yeah.
like
But
because
to be honest,
you'd had that
we've
you'd
had
had that
the
Batman run.
we've had the boom and bust. I
Mm.
mean, is this the same year Batman and Robin?
No, Batman and Robin was 98, I believe.
Yeah, so Batman and Robin has just hit
Yeah,
and basically taken the
yeah,
wind out of all superhero
oh,
films.
yeah. So it's like I think we'd had a Blade at this point, but again, Blade was, as we've discussed in previous episodes
Yeah,
of this show, lower budget film.
and
Culturally, it
while
probably made a little sting, but it didn't like necessarily change the game
and while we know
financially.
Blade is a superhero film, technically, it's probably
Mm.
not hitting that same.
Yeah, I mean, it's a vampire film to the mainstream audience more
Yeah,
than it is a superhero film. Yeah. Um, uh, So yeah, this is an interesting little project. Story wise, because we've kind of skirted around it. Obviously it's set in a fictional super city where superheroes and supervillains do exist. It's quite Batman-y. As you say, this is the main superhero played by Greg Kinnear is a riff on Batman with a touch of Superman.
budget
He's got
was estimated at 68 million.
so I mean it was high-ish for the time,
Its
but
worldwide
not.
gross was 33
Yeah.
and a half million.
Mm.
So not a
So
successful film.
no, not a successful film. Although I imagine it's probably made its money back by now.
It's
Uh,
weird in fact that
um,
you'd think it'd be more
mm,
retroactively well loved than it is as well. Like,
yeah, because it was the perfect. I'd say it was a very very good um kind of almost spoof, but not being a full spoof. Like
yeah,
yeah, and when I say spoof, I definitely don't mean like a Wayans style spoof. I mean like potentially closer to like Naked Gun or something like that,
yeah.
um, or Airplane. Um, there's definitely some silliness in it, but there's a lot of heart. There's a lot of character.
It just feels like it should be a cult hit, and I don't. I mean, people know
Mm,
about it, but I don't think it's a
eh.
cult hit. Like,
I think it's had its moments. Um, I think.
we all know how big of a fan I am of Josie and the Pussycats. Right, that has
Mm,
kind of developed into a bit of a well loved cult film.
it does feel like it could be one of those films, yeah.
Oh,
That Josie,
I've lost you, Matt.
because I wouldn't say it's any worse than Josie and the Pussycats.
I've lost your video feed.
Like, um, oh,
You've frozen for me.
either my internet's gone or his internet's gone.
I can still hear you.
All right,
Yep,
there you are.
there you're back. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
You completely froze for me.
you froze for me as well, so I didn't
Ah,
know which way around it was.
how odd.
Um, yeah, we'll see. Um, yeah, so I'd say this is no worse than Josie and the Pussycats. I mean, it's a different film, but and obviously Josie and the Pussycats has that thing going with some excellent music that's been written for the film, so it's a bit catchier, it's a bit
Yeah,
easier to
I
watch.
think Josie and the Pussycats strangely has more to say as well on a scale of worthiness of a film, kind of.
Mm.
I think
Yeah, I mean, I get you. Although I think, like, obviously the Greg Kinnear character,
yes,
with all of his sponsorship. I mean, he's very much Homelander before Homelander was a thing. So it's I think there's certainly messages there
yeah.
and that bring a validity, I suppose,
So
if you want to use that.
I think this is a video series we do score at the end on.
I believe it is, yeah.
Yeah. So how many Bears.
How many stars?
Oh, you're giving it.
Yeah. How many bears out of 5?
How many bears in hats?
How many bears in hats?
Or bears in
Well,
capes for this one.
bears in capes. Interesting. Yeah. I am going to go with 3 bears in capes, and a 4th bear will be wearing a domino mask, but no cape.
So 3.5.
Yeah, about a 3.5, I think. Yeah,
I think
it's. I think performance-wise, as I said before, every single member of the cast is perfect. If it was literally down to realization of characters by the actors, this would be a 5-star movie, a 5 bears in 5 capes movie. The film itself doesn't necessarily live up to the quality of the performances. So I think, dragging it down to maybe a 3.5. But I think it's still definitely worth a watch. So.
I will go for 4 bears in capes. If anyone in the UK wants to see this at the moment, it is on Prime Video. So last week when I was telling you all not to shop on Amazon, and here I am saying use Amazon.
But then we are big proponents in not stealing. So obviously the easiest way for most people to watch this legally is through Amazon Prime.
Yeah, at least in the UK, even though I don't know where it is internationally.
Yeah, even though ethically maybe not. Obviously, if you can find it, I mean, again, we went on a rant the other last week
you can find it on
about
DVD. I don't know if it's ever had a Blu-ray release, but it's definitely had a DVD release.
Yeah.
So you could probably rent it via iTunes or something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you feel the need to support a dead format, then by all means buy the DVD. Again, probably unfortunately through Amazon.
Yeah. But yeah, Amazon would definitely sponsor Captain Amazing.
Amazon definitely would sponsor Captain Amazing.
It's a shorter one this week, folks. We've had a fair few long episodes recently with E3 and our rant last week. But we're back to the 20 to 30 minute range now for maybe a little while.
Indeed. Should we have a little 5 minutes of topical conversation, James?
Yeah, can do.
Before we move
I
on?
did have a thought, and this gives you a sneak behind to see how the sausage is made. Maybe coming before the MCU on for the second week. Because The Mask is also on Prime.
Oh, is it now?
Yes. So I thought we could carry...
Again, a film I've not seen in a very long time.
I've seen it more recently than I've seen this. But I thought maybe we could carry before the MCU on for a week 2.
Now, do we do just The Mask, or are we going to go for the 2 terrible sequels as well?
The sequels aren't there. It's just The Mask. So we would just do The Mask.
Thank God for that. Yeah, we'll just do The Mask.
I think one of those sequels will be after the MCU as well.
Yeah, well, it is. It certainly is. Although I wouldn't mind digging out the cartoon series.
The cartoon series was good, but our chances of finding it anywhere...
Well, yeah, it's probably...
I would also like to do a couple of films I've never seen at some point before the MCU. Phantom and The Shadow.
You've never seen them?
Nope.
Well, I think we know what the next 4 weeks are then. Well, the next 3 weeks.
What, Mask,
4
Phantom,
weeks including
this.
Yeah, let's do it.
We may have to rent for Phantom and Shadow. I know they're not on any streaming service at the moment.
Fair enough. I mean, while we're doing that era, let's take it to a round 5. Do you want to do Dick Tracy as well?
I do, yes, because I've also never seen Dick Tracy.
Get out.
And aesthetically, all those films are very much me, so you'd think I would have seen them.
Yeah.
Dick Tracy is 100% my kind of jam, but I've never seen... Well, do we go that one step further?
Oh, here we go.
Do we throw in Rocketeer as well?
Ooh.
Are we
doing a 6-episode season?
Are we basically doing a batch of 90s non-Marvel and DC characters? Mopping up the non-Batman films of the 90s.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I think we are. Rocketeer, one of the earliest films I went to see at the cinema as well.
Rocketeer is so good.
Yeah. that I can remember going to see anyway.
Yep.
Yes, yes. Go on then. 6 episode season. That's us sorted for the next several weeks.
Yeah.
So you know what's coming, ladies and gentlemen. We've got in some order.
I think
the Rocketeer.
We'll do the Mask next week because that's going to be the easiest one for us to source.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mask, Rocketeer, Dick Tracy, Phantom, and what was the other one? The Shadow.
Shadow, yeah.
I'm actually quite looking forward to this.
And on that note, folks,
yeah,
we'll see you all soon.
Yeah, see you soon.